So yeah, we will start off with creating a project in Unity, which you probably already have done. And I'm using Unity Hub, and the version of Unity that we will be using is just the standard recommended version, which is the 2019.4, I think, right now. So let's create a new project. And we'll just be going over showing how to get VR just set up in your project and actually how easy it is to do. So we'll just call this intro VR. And when you're creating a new project, you can either create a 3D one or an actual VR project. And we'll just create that right now. So you'll have to watch some paint dry with us for a little bit. All right. So we'll get this project up and running. Yeah, my extremely messy desktop. Why, hello, world. All right, so now we're creating our VR project in Unity, and hopefully the project actually creates. We'll see. Watch it just fail. That would be excellent.
Oh, nice.
All right, here we go. VR project template. Welcome to our template. So before we begin, this is telling us to go into edit project settings and XR plug, but we aren't necessarily going to be doing that. How familiar is everybody with Unity? We went over the Unity introduction thing with Brande earlier, but I'll kind of give you like a brief overview. So in Unity, we have our scene, which all of our like game objects and things will go into our scene. And we have our game camera, which is actually located right here in our hierarchy. And we have our main camera attached to our XR rig. And over here, we have our instructor, which uh, will contain every, well, when we click on something, it'll appear in the instructor, and we can edit any of these properties too. All right, so let's go into project. The first thing that we will want to do when creating a VR project, well, right now I'm using the Valve index, and we'll want to go into edit. We'll go into the project settings, and we need to make sure that so edit project settings and player, and we'll want to go down to other settings right here. And we'll need to check to see if certain API compatibility level is selected. And we're going to be using the .NET 4X right now. And from here, let's go over into our XR plug management. And right now you can see that this is ready for Oculus, Windows Mixed Reality, and Unity Mock HMDs. But since I'm using the Valve Index, this will not work. So we have to implement or import something called the SteamVR Assets package, which uses a system called OpenVR, which will also work with the Oculus and also the Oculus and Valve headsets as well as the HTC Vive. So let's go from our scene, we'll go up to our asset store, we'll search SteamVR, and we will bring the SteamVR plugin into our project. So let's go ahead and import this. Ooh. And now just more paint drawing. So after we import, we will actually get a bunch of cool things from Valve, and we'll import everything. Looks like my controllers keep turning off, so you can see that in the bottom right. And let me turn this one on too. All right. So once the import finishes, we can do some more cool things to get our project set up for VR. Oh, yay. The paint drying. Well, hello.
Inception.
All right. So once we import this SteamVR package, we're going to get an option, either Legacy VR or Unity VR. Before, we would want to use Legacy VR, but we don't want to use that right now because this new SteamVR Assets package actually uses the Unity XR interaction system too. So let's do the Unity XR selection for that. And we will import, finish the import. And then right here, restart of Unity editor may be necessary, and we can check on that if we will need to restart it or not. So, all right, looks like things are now imported. Ooh, no. All right, so the way we can check to see is we go back into edit, go into project settings, go down to the XR plugin management, and now we have something called Open VR Loader, which is Valve's Open VR. So this, once we select this, it should work for the Oculus, Windows Mixed Reality, and all headsets that Valve has worked on too, like the the Valve Index, for example, and the HTC Vive. So select VR Loader and edit project settings, XR plugin management, and that's all we need to do for that. Now let's go up to our XR rig in the upper left right here, and we will actually delete the default rig that it comes with. We'll just get rid of it for now. So now we lost our like in-game camera. There's no cameras displaying because XR rig had everything attached to it. But we will be using down in our project files down here in SteamVR, we will be using the SteamVR player rig that has a lot more of the stuff that we need already completed for us. So let's go into SteamVR. We'll go into interaction system. Let's go into core and we'll go into prefabs. So SteamVR interaction system core prefabs, and we'll pull this player prefab right up into our scene and just place that down. So now we have a new game camera, and let's take a look at this player rig that we just imported, and it has a whole lot of stuff with it, including the VR camera, right hand, left hand, and all kinds of good stuff. So let's go over here, and the player, we'll select player. We'll go over here to our inspector, and the position of the player is all kind of wonky, so let's just reset that for now. And that puts the player object right in the middle of our scene. All right, so after doing this, we want to check out just to see if we have HMD tracking for our heads-up display or for our Valve Index, and also controller tracking. So made sure my controllers are on down here, and let's press play. We'll get a notification to implement some input settings. So it looks like we haven't generated actions for SteamVR input yet. Would you like to? Yes, we definitely want to do that. And we want to use the example files for these missing actions. And just yes. So now we have our SteamVR input compiling. We'll wait for that to finish. And now we will save changes in Unity. All right, so the SteamVR input system is pretty sweet, and it gives you access to, well, pretty much everything you'd want to do with your controller. Snap turns, grab grips and pinches, and all kinds of different stuff. So that's generated. We don't need to do anything with that. We can close out of here. If you ever want to get back to that, we can just go to Window, SteamVR input, and bring this window back. So now let's press play again on our scene to see if that all implemented all right. All right, so just like that, we now have our heads up display, or I mean our HMD tracking, and also our controllers tracking. And that's just by pulling in the SteamVR assets package and pulling the player prefab in and importing all those necessary things. So that is pretty sweet that Valve pretty much takes care of all of that for us. So what we want to do now is get some kind of player movement in the system. So we're going to add teleportation to the environment, and let's press play, exit our scene or whatever, and then we'll go over to our plane right here. And let's duplicate our plane. So we have right-clicked on plane, duplicated it, plane 1 right here. Let's rename this in our inspector. We'll just call it teleplane. All right, teleplane. And we can see in our inspector that the position of both of our planes is the same, but we will want to select our teleporter plane and drag it up just a little bit. So just create a slight offset for it. We'll turn the y-axis, we'll put it at a 0.1 for now. It's because we want the teleportation plane to kind of overlay the plane underneath that, and we'll just be traveling around on the teleportation plane. So from here, let's go down and add a component. Down on the bottom right, just add component. We'll search teleport, add teleport area. So we added this teleport area script to our teleport plane, and our teleport plane is slightly above the plane underneath it. And now we will need to do one more thing in order to get teleportation functioning and get a movement system in our game. So we'll go back to SteamVR. We'll go into the interaction system. Let's go into teleport. We'll go into the teleport prefabs. And we have this teleporting game object right here that is kind of like an event listener, just listening for certain interactions with the teleport controls. So we'll pull the teleporting object into our scene. You can put it really anywhere you'd like to. And now we'll check out our teleporting plane. So let's test it. All we did was we duplicated the plane, added the teleport area script, and pulled teleporting object from the SteamVR interaction system teleport prefabs into our scene. And let's press play on this, see if we get any kind of teleportation movement working. So we have our controller hints right now, and we have our arc just by pressing that button down. And now we can teleport really anywhere around that plane, the teleportation plane that we created. So that is a simple way to get movement inside your game. Just getting VR set up. Valve makes it pretty straightforward to do. to do what we just did. All right, and now we'll want to add some kind of interaction. So let's select our scene. We'll just fly in here holding the right click down, and your WSAD keys can help you float around a little bit. And we'll just, on our sample scene, we'll want to create an object that we will want to interact with. So let's create a 3D object. We'll create just a cube for now. And when we create the cube, its position is going to be all wonky again. So let's just reset that to bring it in front of the player, or bring it at the player's location. And we'll just pull it out of the ground and then pull it away from the player slightly. And we can try to check where that is by going to the game camera. All right, we can put it down a little bit, move it over, go back to the game camera. All right, sweet. So now when we press play, we'll have the cube in our scene, but we won't necessarily be able to interact with it at all. It'll just be a cube. Nothing's going on. We can just all kinds of limp slap it all over the place and nothing will happen. So press play again. Let's exit that. And to make this cube interactable, we'll need to add a component to it. So let's add a throwable script, also provided from the SteamVR Assets package that we downloaded. And this interactable script, or this throwable script, adds an interactable script to it. It adds a rigid body and also adds a throwable script to this object. So now if we go back in and press play, let's teleport over to it. And now we can pick up and grab our said cube. We can also kind of just like hit it around, do whatever with it. And now we have an interactable object within the environment, and we only added a couple of things to it. So, all right. All right, now we will want to actually be able to change the materials on these cubes. And we can create our own custom scripts as well. So let's duplicate our cubes, cube 1, cube 2. Just right click and duplicate on them, or duplicate them. We'll grab cube 1, move it over, grab cube 2, move that over here. And now let's go down back to our projects, and we'll just create our own file. Right click on assets, and we'll just create our own file. We'll just call it like my mats. And navigate to that file. And let's right click, create, and create some materials. Can create a green material, and we'll change the color green. Oop, there we go. And right click in here, create another material. We'll go create material. Just call this one red, I guess. And we'll just go over there and we'll create a few more materials. So right click, create material. And this one, sure, we'll just keep it a white material. And let's create one more material. And we will call this Game Jam. And I have a picture already set up. So we'll just grab our Game Jam picture that I pulled offline. We'll throw it in here into our My Materials package or folder. And let's click on the Game Jam material. And now we'll take this picture that we just added in. We'll put this on the albedo map. So now we have a material called Game Jam, and to apply these materials to these objects, we'll just drag and drop. And let's see. We will also want to create one more cube. So
And what kind
let's,
of what was the type of picture again? It was like a
uh,
JPEG or something.
yeah, JPEG.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yep. And let's
Cool.
actually duplicate. Um, we'll duplicate our original cube. Duplicate. So now we have our cube 3. We'll pull this out. We'll lift it up a little bit. We'll throw the white material on there. And then we will want to use our scaling tool. So go to our scale tool, and we'll just turn this into a wall pretty much. And let's rename our cube wall. All right. So now that we have our 3 cubes and our wall, we will want to attach our own custom script to this wall, and we'll actually want to also make this wall that we have selected. We'll also want to make this wall a trigger. So we'll make this a trigger by selecting it in the box collider down here. And now let's go back to our assets and let's just make a new folder, and we will call this folder my scripts. My scripts. So, all right. Now we will right click, navigate to our My Scripts, right click, go to create. Let's create a C# script. And then we'll just call it mat change. And right here, if we didn't select the proper API, we would have issues once we went into this. So let's open up our C# script. And I believe in the Unity tutorial that you went over earlier with Brende, she provided a script that would create a material change. And that is the same thing that we will be using here. So I'm just going to paste this in. So we have our void start, which will be called right at the start of the scene. And we will store the render in this variable called myRender. And at the start, it will just get the render of whatever component that it's attached to. And then we have a private void on trigger enter. Like we just did, we selected that wall to be the trigger. So once whatever happens down here enters that trigger, we will do something. So let's copy our. So what will happen when we go into our on trigger enter is it will execute this if statement. So if other object, and we'll compare the tag, and the tag that we will be applying to these objects is called wall color. And so now if the tag of the objects equals wall color, when we enter our trigger, we create a material called M, and we store the other get component render material. So we store the other components or the other objects material in this variable, in this material variable. And then at the end, we just set our myrend.material equal to M, which is this material. So what this will do is it will, whatever cube goes into the wall pretty much, that wall will take on that object's material. So let's save it. We will exit out of here. And now let's select our select our wall and we want to attach the script that we just created. We'll want to throw that onto our wall. And there's one other thing that we will have to do, and that's create a tag for each one of these cubes. So let's go into tag. We'll add a tag. We will hit this plus button right here. And remember, our tag is called wall color. So we'll just save that in there. And now let's apply this wall color tag to each one of these cubes. So we'll select cube, wall color, cube, wall color, and cube, wall color. And now we have to make sure that this wall is set up properly. So let's see, we have 3 minutes left down here. All right. So it's using gravity. So we'll want to actually make sure that we pull this wall out of the ground because it was kind of stuck in the ground a little bit. Um,
Mhm.
we actually don't want to use gravity because it is a trigger. It'll just kind of float through everything. So on this box collider, is trigger is selected, use gravity is not, the wall is out, and we have our mat change script attached to the wall, and we have our tags set for each one of these cubes. So let's press play now. Oh no, my controller's turned off. Dang it.
No.
In the bottom right, let's see. Can I get them back? Can I get the controllers back? You can see, oh,
Oh,
they're kind of
yes.
working slightly, but janky. All right, and let's see if this actually works. So now we have our wall, we have our boxes, and now we have kind of a awkward little awkward little game.
It's super cool.
Yep.
So
And
you're
this
saying,
is
yeah.
just a quick way of showing you how to get VR implemented into your project. Valve makes it super amazing with their open VR support. Even if you're using whatever headset, Oculus or Valve Index or whatever. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, so now we have like a working kind of fun little experience. Yeah.
Super cool. And
And
I think it's
Global
actually,
Game Jam.
oh yeah. I think it's actually time for the introductions and
Oh,
keynote